But former close friends of the Duke have told me that Chelsy Davy's decision to have a third child has really emotionally hit home. Now, she shared these beautiful images, and my God, I'm so happy for Chelsy Davy. Like, this is all she wanted.
There is a photograph you may have seen recently. It was posted quietly, without fanfare, without a publicist or a press release or a carefully timed strategic rollout. Just a woman on a sun-soaked island, a newborn in her arms, a husband beside her who looks at her the way people look at each other when nothing needs to be performed. That woman is Chelsy Davy. The baby is a boy named Finn, her third child, born in March 2026. And according to people who have been close to Prince Harry for years, genuinely close, not the transactional kind of close that his current life in Montecito seems to produce, that photograph has done something to him that no court hearing, no Netflix cancellation, and no public body language analysis has managed to do. It has broken something open, something that was already cracked, something that, if the people who care about him are being honest, may not fully close again. We are going to walk through all of it today, carefully and completely, not the tabloid version that flattens everything into a headline, the full version, the one that requires you to understand who Chelsy Davy actually is, what she and Harry actually had, why he destroyed it, and how, and what the life she is now living represents when held against the life Harry finds himself trapped inside at this particular moment in the spring of 2026. By the time we are finished, the contrast will not need any commentary from us. It will speak entirely for itself. Let us start with Chelsy. Because this story only works if you understand just how genuinely extraordinary her current life is. Not extraordinary in the way that Montecito press releases manufacture extraordinary, but extraordinary in the old, quiet, real sense. The kind of extraordinary that does not require management. On February 26, 2026, Hello Magazine confirmed that Chelsy had announced her third pregnancy in what the publication called a low-key Instagram post. No orchestrated reveal, no accompanying brand partnership, no countdown clock or PR strategy. Just a photograph of a woman glowing with the uncomplicated happiness of someone whose life is going genuinely well. Tatler confirmed on March 16, 2026, that she had welcomed a son named Finn, joining older son Leo and daughter Chloe. She is living in Mauritius. She and her husband Sam Cutmore-Scott confirmed to the Evening Standard in December 2025 that they were relocating semi-full-time to the island, a place Chelsy has loved since childhood, and where the couple married privately in May 2022. Sam is a hotelier, the brother of actor Jack Cutmore-Scott, and a man who was, as the National World reported in November 2025, a year above Harry at Eton. He went to the same school as Prince Harry. He chose a different life. He built something real and steady, and he and Chelsy are building it together. In the warmth, in the quiet, with 3 children and a jewelry business she created entirely through her own talent under the brand name AYA, without a title, without a streaming deal, without anyone's royal connections opening a single door for her. That is the picture. Hold it clearly, because everything else in this video exists in relationship to it. Now let us talk about how it connects to Harry, because former close friends of the Duke, people who have known him for years, people who have watched this entire story unfold from far closer than any camera can capture, have specifically said that Chelsy's announcement of this third child has, in their words, really emotionally hit home. And that phrase, when you unpack it, carries considerably more weight than it might initially appear to. Because what they are describing is not a man who saw a photograph of an ex-girlfriend and felt a passing pang of nostalgia. They are describing a man who looked at those images and saw, rendered in full color and permanent clarity, the exact future he said he wanted when he was with her. A big family. Life built outside the United Kingdom. Warmth. Genuine freedom. The real kind, not the kind you have to keep explaining to television cameras. The kind that does not require a press office to exist. Harry and Chelsy Davy dated on and off from 2004 until their final separation in 2011. 7 years. That is not a brief romance. That is a sustained, serious, deeply felt relationship between 2 young people who were genuinely in love with each other in the uncomplicated way that is only possible before the world has fully shaped you. Angela Levin, whose biography of Harry remains the single most authoritative account of his inner life, written with direct access, published with his cooperation, and cited consistently by every serious royal commentator who has engaged with the question of who Harry actually is beneath the public performance, has been direct about the nature of what they shared. Chelsy, she has said, was the love of his life. Not a phrase Levin uses carelessly, not a phrase she would apply without having satisfied herself that it was accurate. And what did they discuss during those years? What conversations did they have about the future? According to those who knew Harry during that period, he was explicit about what he wanted. A large family, multiple children, a home that did not sit inside the suffocating architecture of formal royal life, where every breath is managed and every private moment is potentially someone else's headline. He described it to close friends. He described it to Chelsy directly. The big family was not an abstract aspiration. It was a specific, named, repeatedly stated desire that Harry held and expressed with genuine conviction. So, why is he not living it? This is where we have to be honest about something that Angela Levin has documented, and that multiple people close to Harry during those years have confirmed. The end of the relationship was not mutual. It was not the case that two people who loved each other simply found they wanted different things and parted with equal sadness. What happened was considerably less flattering to Harry than that, and considerably more revealing about the pattern that his entire adult life has subsequently confirmed. When Chelsy went to university to study animal conservation, a subject she cared about deeply, a field that reflected her genuine values, Harry was, as Levin has described it, cross about it. Not supportive, not proud, cross. As in resentful that she was prioritizing something that mattered to her over a relationship in which, on the evidence of his subsequent behavior, he was not actually willing to do the same. He did not visit her. He did not show up for the woman he claimed to love in the most basic and fundamental way that showing up for someone requires, which is to actually go where they are. Instead, according to Levin's documented account, Harry had affairs, multiple, with, in her precise formulation, all sorts of other girls. Chelsy kept reaching out. She kept inviting him. She kept doing what a person does when they love someone and want the relationship to work. And Harry kept declining, siding with a lack of self-awareness that, in retrospect, tells you everything you need to know about the version of himself he had constructed, that her university friends were not the right sort of people for him. Meaning, he was too important to make an effort for someone he claimed to love most. Meaning, his comfort ranked higher than her worth. Meaning, the pattern of expecting the world to bend toward him rather than bending himself toward the world was already fully formed, in his 20s, with the woman who loved him most genuinely. Chelsy walked. And Levin has said plainly that the blame for that ending sits entirely with Harry. Not shared equally. Not complicated. Entirely. As it should be. A Reddit thread from January 2026, summarizing Levin's most recent comments on the subject, described her as saying she knows from a reliable source that Harry was the one who caused the final breakup. A Quora post citing her biography goes further, stating that Chelsy found out he was cheating on her while she was at university, and that his refusal to visit was not indifference but deliberate avoidance of accountability. Now ask yourself the question we want you to answer in the comments. Do you believe Harry has ever sat in a quiet room alone and accepted full personal responsibility for losing Chelsy Davy? Or has he spent the years since then quietly reshaping that story inside his own head into something that places the weight of it somewhere other than where it actually belongs? Because the answer to that question predicts a great deal about everything that has happened to him since. Now we need to talk about the 3 children. Because this is the detail that transforms an emotional wound into something that, according to those who know him well, has produced the specific kind of devastation the title of this video describes. Chelsy Davy now has 3 children. Finn, born March 2026. Chloe, his older sister. Leo, their eldest, 3 children. The large family that Harry told his closest friends he wanted more than almost anything in the world. The large family he talked to Chelsy about building together. The large family she is now building, just not with him. Harry has 2 children. And here's where the story takes a turn that is not cruel in its pointing out, but impossible to ignore in its significance. Harry has 2 children, in part because Meghan Markle apparently helped him reach a different conclusion about what the responsible number of children was. After Archie was born and before they had made any decision about whether they would have a 3rd or 4th or 5th child, Harry began making public statements about the environment, about climate change, about the responsibility that comes with choosing to bring more people into the world, about how 2 children was the maximum that someone with a conscience could justify. His close friends, people who had sat with him during the Chelsy years, people who had heard the conversations about the big family he was going to build, were, according to sources familiar with their reactions, not simply surprised. They were baffled. Because the man saying these things was the same man who had spoken passionately, repeatedly, and specifically about wanting exactly what Chelsy now has. Something between those 2 versions of Harry had shifted the goalposts on one of the things he claimed to want most. And those who knew him best had a clear sense of where the shift had originated. So when those photographs appeared in March 2026, Chelsy, Finn, the warmth of Mauritius, Sam standing beside her with the quiet confidence of a man who has never needed a press officer to explain why he is happy, Harry was not simply looking at an ex-girlfriend's baby announcement. He was looking at a live-action accounting of choices. His choices. The choice to cheat when he should have shown up. The choice to let pride override love. The choice to tell the world that the large family he once wanted was now environmentally irresponsible. Every photograph in that announcement was a mirror, and the reflection it showed was not what he had been telling himself. Body language expert Judy James, writing for The Mirror on February 1st, 2026, described a glaring shift in the dynamic between Harry and Meghan, noting what she called a missed beat quality to their public appearances, as though they are rebranding or simply not quite in synchronization anymore. That analysis was published a full month before Chelsy's pregnancy announcement. The disconnect James was identifying was already present before Finn's birth made it worse. YouTube footage from February 2026, widely circulated and analyzed, showed Harry repeatedly rejecting Meghan's attempts at public physical contact. Not once, repeatedly. In different settings, at different points during the same appearances, with a consistency that ruled out the explanation of a single, awkward moment. Sources close to the situation have provided important context for what that physical withdrawal actually represents. Harry does not experience Meghan's public gestures as expressions of affection. He experiences them as displays of possession, as a performance of control directed not at him but at the watching world, a demonstration of who holds the authority in this pairing. And according to those sources, he cannot stand it anymore. He does not have the capacity to perform acceptance of something that strikes him as fundamentally dishonest. Royal commentators have said this directly, that Harry is having a breakdown in real time, that it is visible, that the mask has come off, and that what we are watching in these public appearances is not a couple managing a difficult moment. It is a man who has lost the will to pretend. The One Young World Conference in Manchester in September 2022 was, according to Tom Bower, whose book Betrayal remains the most forensically researched account of the Sussex Project, the moment when something crystallized publicly that had been visible privately for some time. Meghan stood on a global stage in front of world leaders, humanitarian figures, and people who had dedicated their lives to problems larger than any individual. She had a microphone and a genuine platform, and she used it repeatedly to talk about herself. Her experience, her feelings, her journey. Me, I, me. The co-founder of the organization had a daughter, Ella, who had already had reservations about Meghan's invitation. Ella watched the speech and said, using language that left no room for interpretation, that she had ruined it. Tom Bower was not surprised. He had identified the pattern. And Harry, standing somewhere in that space, had to watch it happen and know, on some level, that it was not going well. The helplessness of that position, of being unable to redirect, unable to intervene, unable to have any meaningful influence over the direction of a life he has staked everything on, is, according to those around him, part of what is fracturing him. Then there is the detail that has changed the internal calculus of this marriage in a way that nothing else has managed to. Vanity Fair, in January 2025, not a tabloid, not an anonymous source, not a fringe publication, but a mainstream American magazine with editorial standards and fact-checking processes, confirmed that Meghan's team had shopped a post-divorce book to publishers, A book about the marriage. About Harry. Written after the marriage ends. The New York Post confirmed this on the 18th of January, 2025. Page 6 confirmed it on the same date. The Daily Record, news.com.au, and She Knows all confirmed it independently. The Vanity Fair piece itself, published on January 17th, 2025, was explicit. This was a book that might center on a post-Harry divorce. Take a moment to absorb what that means if you are Harry. If you have read Spare, you already understand the damage that a memoir can do to relationships, to institutions, to a person standing in the eyes of people who once loved them. Spare was written by Harry about his own family. Now imagine a book written by Meghan about Harry, by someone who has been in the room, by someone who has watched him at his lowest and his most exposed, motivated by the end of a marriage and everything that comes with it. Harry does not need to imagine it because he lives with the knowledge of what she knows every single day, and that knowledge, according to sources familiar with the situation, functions as a chain, not a metaphorical chain, a real one. One that keeps him exactly where he is, not because the marriage is working or because he is happy, but because the alternative carries costs he cannot calculate clearly enough to accept. The second chain is legal. California family law in a divorce initiated by Meghan would almost certainly award her primary custody of Archie and Lilibet. This was not a surprise discovery. People around Harry warned him about this before he took the children to California. The advice, according to sources, was direct. Do not move the children there if you want equal footing in any future custody arrangement. He moved them, and now the mathematics of that decision shape every choice he makes. He is not staying because he is fulfilled. He is staying because the calculation of what leaving cost is more terrifying than the calculation of what staying costs. That is not a marriage. That is not a negotiated stalemate held together by fear on one side. The security battle adds public humiliation to private desperation. The Ravet Committee, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee that advises the Home Office on security provision for senior royals, has been reviewing Harry's case. A full-scale review was launched in December, confirmed by ITV News on January 9, 2026. The political risk of reinstating taxpayer-funded protection for a man who left the royal family knowing security would be withdrawn is, according to sources familiar with the assessment process, considered too significant for any minister to champion comfortably. Harry lost an earlier court ruling, confirmed by ABC News. He is considering appeal. Meanwhile, the money that once justified the commercial project is draining. Netflix, per multiple reports, has moved from a structured partnership worth a reported $100 million to a first-look arrangement, a standard industry offering that carries no guarantee of anything. AOL confirmed in January 2026 that sources described 2025 as Harry and Meghan's most horrific year. The directional trend from the leverage of 2020 to their current position is, as every financial analyst who has examined the Sussex model has concluded, unmistakably downward. There is a detail about Harry and Chelsy that matters more than any other in this moment, and it is this: she does not miss him. This has been confirmed by people who know her. She is not carrying any version of this grief. She is not in Mauritius wondering what might have been. She is precisely where she chose to be, with precisely the person she chose to be with, living precisely the life she decided to build after she made the right decision for herself. The asymmetry of that, his grief against her peace, his consequences against her freedom, is, as royal commentators have noted, perhaps the most pointed commentary on the choices available to both of them and the directions those choices have taken. Think about what Chelsy Davy did concretely. She built a jewelry business without a title, a Netflix deal, or a royal connection. AYA exists because of her talent. She found a partner who was a year above Harry at Eton, someone who had access to exactly the same social world and chose to be present, consistent, and real in it, rather than using it as a platform. She moved to an island she loves. She had 3 children. She did not write a book. She did not give interviews about what she survived. She simply lived forward quietly in the direction of what mattered to her and arrived somewhere that the photographs speak for without any words being necessary. Harry talked about building that life. He had every advantage, every resource, every opportunity to build it. He had the woman who most naturally fit into the version of it he described to his closest friends. And he made the choices that dismantled it. He cheated when he should have shown up. He was too proud to visit. He was too insecure to honor what was right in front of him. And then years later, he announced to the world that the large family he always said he wanted was now irresponsible to have because of the environment. His friends, the ones who heard the original conversations, have not forgotten what he said. And now Chelsy has her third child in the warmth of Mauritius, in a life that needs no press office to sustain it. And the accounting has become impossible for Harry to escape. Angela Levin confirmed in late March 2026, per a Facebook post summarizing her most recent public comments, that Harry is pulling away from Meghan's touches in public, regretting lost friendships, and presenting body language that screams discomfort. None of that is speculation. It is observed, documented, and confirmed across multiple independent sources. The man who wanted the big family and the home outside the United Kingdom, and the life built on genuine connection rather than performances, currently watching all three of those things exist in someone else's hands while his own hands are occupied with a security appeal, a failing commercial strategy, and a marriage held together by the thread of what comes apart if it ends. There is something almost unbearable about the clarity of it. Not because we want Harry to suffer, but because the clarity is so complete that it resists any attempt to explain it away. He had it. He genuinely had it. Not the title, not the palace, not the protocol. Those things he was right to want to escape. The real thing. The woman, the potential, the future she was willing to build with him. And he treated it the way he has treated most things in his life that required him to choose discomfort over ease. He avoided it, and then he lost it. And then he spent years building an elaborate story about why its loss was not his fault. Until the photographs arrived in March 2026, and the story became impossible to maintain. So here's the question we want you to sit with. Not as a judgment, but as a genuine inquiry. Do you believe Harry has the capacity to look honestly at the distance between Chelsy's life and his own, and accept, fully and without deflection, that the choices which created that distance were his? Or is the same pattern that Angela Levin identified in his 20s, the pattern of expecting other people to absorb the cost of his choices and then finding someone else to hold responsible when they cannot, still the operating system inside which he is running? Drop your answer in the comments below. Tell us whether you think Chelsy Davy's happiness is something Harry will ever genuinely make peace with, or whether it will remain the mirror he cannot look away from and cannot bear to look into. And if something in this story landed differently than you expected, if any part of it gave you something to think about that you have not heard framed this way before, hit the like button and tell us what it was. The story of Harry and Chelsy is not finished simply because she has moved on. It is, in a certain precise sense, only now becoming fully legible. Because it takes the full picture: the third child, the Mauritius life, the AIA jewelry business, the husband who shows up, to understand what was lost, how it was lost, and what the cost of losing it has turned out to be. Subscribe so you are here when the next chapter arrives. Because with Harry, there is always a next chapter. And if the pattern holds, it will once again involve a choice between accountability and avoidance, between showing up and stepping back. He has made that choice before, more than once, in more than one direction, and the consequences of the choices he has already made are now photographed, published, and living in Mauritius with a man who was a year above him at Eton. That is the story. Quietly devastating, entirely of his own making, and impossible from this particular moment to unsee.